All right, so now X has a hypergeometric distribution with parameters big N, comma, R, comma, little n. Big N, little r, little n. If it models the number of type 1 items that you find in a random sample of n items, little n items, sample of little n items taken from a population of r type 1 items and big N minus r type 2 items. Ugh, what does that mean? Well, think about it like this maybe. Here I have some items. Item number 1, item number 2, 3, 4, and so on, up to the rth item. Okay? And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to one, two, three, 4. So over here, I'm going to count some items. We'll call these type 2 items. I'll call these type 1 items. Oops, all of these be type 1 items. I've got R type 1 items and N minus R type 2 items, right? R plus N minus R is, of course, big N. So big N is like our population size. It's the total number of items, okay? R of them are of type 1, and the rest are of type 2, okay? All right? So first of all, note that big N choose little n is the number of simple random samples of size n that can be taken. Okay? That's the total number of samples of size n that we can take. What is the total number of ways to choose k type 1 items? Okay, well, let's see. If there are type 1 items, to R choose k, this is the total number of ways to choose k type 1 items. All right. And finally, what's the total number of ways to choose, say, n minus k of the other type? Well, there are n minus r of type 2 items, right? Big N minus r, type 2 items, right? That many type 2 items. And so if I'm going to choose k type 1 items, but I've got a sample of size little n, then there's little n minus k have to be the type 2 items. Okay, so right, because k plus n minus k is my sample size. So this turns out to be, this is the number of ways to choose the remaining items from the n minus r type 2 items. Okay. All right. So this tells me, this is going to help me write down my probability mass function. So if X has a hypergeometric NRN distribution, then the probability that X takes on the value of K is, well, let's see. So again, there are big N choose little n ways to take a sample of size n from these big N items. Now, how many ways can I choose K of type 1, or choose K, and then how many ways can I choose the others from the remaining n minus r items? N minus r choose little n minus k. And we're done. Okay? Pretty good. And up in the numerator, of course, I'm multiplying. That's by the simple, most fundamental law of basic counting of the United States of America. Right? We talked about that. Good. So let's talk about the mean and variance real quick. I'm not going to derive these, at least not right now. But the mean is just simply, it turns out to be little n times r over big N. Isn't that nice? And the variance turns out to be more complicated. It's the sample size times little r over big N times big N minus little r over big N times n minus n over big N minus 1. Okay.